Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That doesn't have a question mark at the end for some reason. No, it doesn't. It's a statement. Who framed Roger Rabbit? I don't know. Punctuation's important. This is from 1988. It's an hour and 44 minutes long. It stars Bob Hoskins as Eddie Valiant. He's sort of a hard-nosed detective with a past and a drinking problem, and not so much success with dames. Yeah, this is 1947, by the way. This very much feels, if there weren't cartoon characters roaming around the real world, well, this would feel like a kind of a detective noir type tale, and usually dames, leggy dames, broads, or whatever they called them back in the day, are always showing up and being trouble or temptations or the criminal in many cases. But they, in this situation, though, there's a rabbit in danger because somebody framed him for murder. Yeah. If you didn't already realize, this is a film that puts the real-life live-action world and mixes it with animation. And it's not just Disney animation. This is a Touchstone Pictures film, but it's part of Disney, Buena Vista, that whole owned by Disney kind of umbrella. Now, we get the cartoon angle from the very beginning, and I'm not going to spoil too much for you. I know most people have seen this film. It's been so long for me. I've forgotten major chunks of detail. The overall storyline, the good guys, the bad guys, how it all fits together, the characters that show up, that kind of stuff I remembered. But the full essence of the film, it's honestly, I think it's been the 90s since I've seen this. I know, it's a shame, it's a crime. But it's nice to. I was looking forward to this for a while, that it would come up and be selected after 1,800 some episodes. I finally get to rewatch it. I would have watched it years ago if I wasn't doing this, or would have just wasted my subscription to Disney Plus, which would be a shame, really. I've made more good use out of my Disney Plus subscription than anybody else who's ever subscribed to Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, you can watch Star Wars 25 times a week, but, I've seen almost everything. I'm getting close to the end. And I already know what they're adding, although they just talked about stuff they're adding through Marvel in the next year. So but it's a tangent, whatever, never mind. This is a kind of mature. It's definitely not a kid's cartoon, but kids can appreciate it, especially because Roger Rabbit is the fullest essence of a innocent children's cartoon character. He's silly, he's goofy, he does everything for the laughs, and he is pure-hearted. There's not a mean bone in his body, even though he is quite upset and he can play the part, but in his truest essence, he is just, he's a good guy. But he's framed for murder. And the only person who can really help him out with this is Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins. And he doesn't really like tunes. He doesn't like majority of tunes. I believe he has a past with Betty Boop, who makes an appearance. And again, I'm not going to spoil everything for you, just in case you haven't seen it. But this is, did I say this earlier? This is not just a Disney cartoon film. This is one of the cartoons, and I'm going to spoil just this part because it's pretty well known, and this movie is many, many decades old. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Yosemite Sam, Porky Pig, Warner Brothers characters show up, voiced by Mel Blanc, of course. So Mel Blanc shows up in a Disney cartoon voicing the characters that made him famous from Warner Brothers, a completely different studio. I know for the average person that doesn't make a big difference whatsoever. It's like Marvel and DC. Nobody knows that Superman and Spider-Man don't live in the same universe. They don't care. They don't really care, but just like DC and Marvel, Warner Brothers and Disney have never really met in action. But in this, we get a dueling pianos battle between Daffy and Donald. Yeah. Mickey shows up in the same shot, having a conversation with Bugs Bunny. That is, I mean, these are the top icons for each of the studios, all mixed in with live action. And how they do the effects, the cause and effect between the action of what the cartoons characters do versus reality is part of the magic of this film. And because there's other films that have done this. Cool World comes to mind. There's been others many since, with using much more advanced technology. Here, this is all hand-drawn cell animation on top of, everything going on. There's no 3D in 1988. I mean, there's a little bit of digital animation, but it's super primitive, and it's had stuff in like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, stuff like that. The Abyss is probably, when did The Abyss come out? There's not a ton of digital characters out there, so this is all hand-drawn animation mixed in with the live action. It's kind of awesome. From a technical standpoint, it's awesome. From a story standpoint, it's a solid story, even though it's the kind of story you kind of expect from a noir detective thriller, a mystery thriller. Who done it? We know Roger's been framed, so who done it and why? And I'm going to give a little tiny tease. It doesn't really spoil a whole lot unless you know your LA history. Even though this takes place in 1947, this ties very much into some real-world LA history around the Arroyo Seco Parkway, which is better known right now as the Pasadena Freeway, or the 110, which goes through the heart of Los Angeles. That is, when I saw the reveal again, I was like, oh, wait, I know this story. Yeah. There's a nice play on a bit of history, which that happened in 1939 or so, and it actually went through, and it still exists. I was on it not too long ago, and it did a lot of damage to some communities. Yeah. So this is a funny detective thriller with cartoons and human beings that borrows heavily from history, some fairly tragic history, to make innovation happen. So, anyway, that is a whole other tangent. It's a whole other thing. Historians can look at the comparison between the Arroyo Seco Parkway construction and Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a completely different pod. I'm sure there's like a 15 episode, 3 hour each long podcast about that somewhere. If not, we have to make that. The other people who star in this, of course, Charles Fleischer as the voice of Roger Rabbit. Is it Diane Keaton does the voice of Jessica Rabbit? She's uncredited, just so you know. She's officially uncredited, but she is in this. It has to be Diane Keaton, right? Dang it. My brain just erased itself, which isn't too hard. Not freeing up a lot of space there. And, of course, Christopher Lloyd, you may know him from Doc Brown from Back to the Future as well. He is Judge Doom. When with a name like that and a look like his, you know he's the bad guy. But there's a whole lot more to him than most people realize. So, this goes through Eddie working his way to solve a mystery, to save Roger, all the while getting help from a woman he's close to, or used to be closer to, and getting over the loss of somebody else that was close to him, while also realizing that Roger Rabbit is a very lucky man. Yeah, Jessica Rabbit, Whew, Jessica Rabbit is, I think she redefined what what animated women look like. She is all legs, and she's not bad. She's just drawn that way, but really, really well. Yeah, as part of the joke, as part of the thing. She's the femme fatale of the story, which is a staple in noir detective thrillers. And even the man who hates tunes can't look away. Yeah, and she is known for her well-defined curves, and she is, even if Roger Rabbit himself doesn't go down in history, Jessica Rabbit will go down in history as one of the most iconic, visually interesting, let's just say visually alluring. I think it changed the world for a lot of cartoon-loving people when she appeared on screen, and also for Eddie Valiant. So he has no idea what she sees in Roger. And it's a real love. It's a real relationship. And she gives an answer as to, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but she gives the perfect answer as to why she has fallen deeply in love with a rabbit. Yeah. So this is, I can't recommend this enough. It's not perfect in its but it's fantastic. It's not perfect in the way everything sort of moves together. The animation and the live action. You see the seams at times, but that should not bother you. It is still just a miracle to see how it was constructed. It's a miracle to see it work, and you don't care after a while, if you care at all. Only the super technical nerds would tear this apart and go, well, I don't like the fact that there was a slight half-second delay from when the person threw the punch and then they flew into the boxes. Like, no. Why waste your own time not just enjoying this, not just falling in love with this? So, yeah, I say definitely, if this is a movie you have put off seeing, as I have done until this number came up, watch it. Just watch it. It's great performances from everybody, including Bob Hoskins, who is essentially our lead character here, an unlikely lead in the 80s. But you know what? There's been a long time that people were discussing the idea that he could have been Wolverine. Yes, the Wolverine in the X-Men films. Why? He's short, he's hairy, he's got an attitude, he can put off an attitude, because Eddie here, he's a hard drinker, and he's scrappy, and he's older, but you just put some, flick out the hair like this, look. I don't recommend people to Google some certain cartoon things, or look up, he's not a cartoon in this, but somebody drew a recommendation for what he would look like as Wolverine. So look up Bob Hoskins Wolverine, and you might get an idea of what he would have looked like. He would not have looked like Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman would still be doing musicals on Broadway somewhere, or in Australia even, and that would be a shame, an absolute shame. But I don't think he would have been I don't think he would have been a bad Wolverine. I just think he wouldn't have been doing it for 25 years, because I don't think Bob Hoskins is with us anymore. So, anyway, highly recommended. It's funny. It's a technical achievement, especially for its time. It is, it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, okay? It's, by the way, let me get the producers. You might recognize a few of those names. Andrew Dewhurst, Alan Dewhurst, Don Hahn, Frank Marshall, Steve Starkey, Robert Watts, and other people you might recognize, Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah. So they even get their own paired producer titles in the credits. I wanted to confirm, but I won't be able to. There's tons of little Easter eggs. There are more characters in this than I could adequately list or just watch in one viewing. Somebody has already made an exhaustive list. I have no doubt somewhere on the internet is a YouTube video that shows you, it zooms in on every single freaking character and references every single cartoon they've ever appeared in. Yeah. If it doesn't, let me know, and I guess I'll make it. But, geez, there's a lot. Dumbo figures prominently in one scene. Ooh, and then is Foghorn Leghorn in this? There's a lot. So, yeah, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to waste any more time. But yeah, this is one of the greats. And thank you to Disney and for Warner Brothers to allow each other to work together. And among all the others, Droopy Dog and Betty Boop and all the people who own the rights to all these things, to allow them to be in a film like this. I mean, yeah, Space Jam, but that's Warner Brothers. That's Bugs and the Gang and basketball players. Plenty of other films have done it since, because this is where the magic really came and happened, and people, the masses saw it. Not as many people saw Cool World. Just saying. But check that out too. Not for the kids. Just saying. Not for the kids. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 37. All the way down at the other end of the list. 37. Okay. This is going to be a lot more serious, I think, than what we just saw. It's a documentary. I don't know if it's a movie or if it's an episode or if it's a series or not, but it definitely deals with something that was treacherous for a number of people, and the ways and means they had to handle this in America, sadly not too long ago. This is Black Travel Across America. Yeah. All right, that's a real mood shift, but we're going to learn something, and that's all right. Black Travel Across America is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.